Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. Hopefully, you can see me. Yes, I see the microphone moving. I always like to point out at the beginning of the show that I am not a medical doctor. I am a board certified doctor of holistic health. I don't treat, diagnose, or cure anything. I leave those words to the medical community because what I do instead, and what Christine does, I'm going to introduce her in a second, is help people get their health back through natural means without drugs or surgery. Okay. So today's going to feel a little different. We're not going to do a presentation. It's not a teaching outline. This is not me standing at a whiteboard explaining physiology, although in the history of the show, I don't think I've ever used a whiteboard. So today we're going to pull up a chair and we're having a kitchen table conversation about holistic health. Okay. You know the kind of conversation that happens when the cameras are off, when two practitioners sit down and just talk honestly about what they've seen, what's worked, what hasn't, and where the profession is headed. Okay. I'm joined today by Christine Jennings, my dear friend, Christine Jennings. She's a 20 years as a licensed massage therapist, 20 years of hands-on experience with muscle tension, stress patterns, chronic pain, nervous systems that will not calm down. And after 2 decades of doing incredible work with her hand, she started asking a deeper question. Why does this tension keep coming back? Why does the fatigue linger? Why do some clients get relief but not resolution? Well, the question is, what brings us here today? Because holistic health is not just about touching tissue. It's not just about supplements. It's not just about lab numbers. It's about regulation. It's about understanding the order in which the body heals. It's about recognizing that muscles tighten for reasons. The inflammation has context, that the nervous system has a story. And when a seasoned body worker begins stepping into functional regulation work, into quantum nutrition testing, that tells me something important is happening in our field. And so today, we're not debating, we're not selling, we are talking. Practitioner to practitioner, experience to experience. And if you're a client listening, this will help you understand why sometimes your body needs more than temporary relief. If you're a practitioner listening, this may challenge you to expand. So pour a cup, take a breath. Let's have a real conversation about holistic health. Christine, welcome to the kitchen table.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So I know the coming on the show was a little unexpected. You just found out, 2 days ago?
Maybe yesterday.
Maybe yesterday. Okay. So she was kind enough to say yes to my invitation to join me on Saturday morning show because I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about. And one of our other practitioner friends that we know suggested that we team up and do a show together. And it's like, poof, mind blow for me. Okay. Because Christine has the distinction of being the first person that I've invited on the actual morning coffee with Doc Jeff show. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me again. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, and 20 years as a massage therapist, you have had to seen some shit.
Yes, I have. So I am Christine Jennings, and I'm located in Rensselaer, Indiana, and I've been massaging for over 20 years now. And yeah, I see quite a few clients through the years. I've worked with them, and yeah, I've seen people come in with chronic fatigue, chronic inflammation, injuries, all sorts of things. And yeah, we're looking for that deeper layer of work. What's the cause behind that deeper layer? And that's why I think I love quantum nutrition testing so much, is that we're not just working with muscle tissue anymore. I'm moving into quantum nutrition testing and finding the cause for problems.
Yeah. That is a mind blower in itself right there, because what I learned, you've been doing this longer than I have, actually. You've been working with people in the holistic type world longer than I have. I've only been doing it for 17 years, March will be 17 years. And what I've learned over time is sometimes a person's healing journey may need more than one modality of healing. Have you experienced that?
I do. That's so true. And as I'm working with them in massaging, I'm actually switching gears in the last year here, thinking, oh my goodness, like maybe this could be due to chronic stress or chemicals or parasites, or I'm looking at them a little bit deeper than what I've ever looked at them before. I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking for that cause.
Yeah.
Why is the issue coming back up again and again and again?
Right. And so trying to answer that why led you down this path of quantum nutrition testing. How do you see that impacting or shifting in your practice? What are you already seeing as you start to bring quantum nutrition testing online, as it were?
Well, people that have probably experienced years of chronic inflammation and coming in on a scheduled maybe every 2 or 4 week massage, and getting the relief that they're looking for, we're actually finding a deeper relief than they thought was even possible, and even deeper than what I was thinking it was possible. My own journey, I found out that I was infected with glyphosate all over my body and parasites, and I felt fine, but I didn't know there was that deeper layer to work with.
Yeah. So tell us more about that. How did you find that you were loaded up with glyphosate? Say that word fast.
Right.
How did you find you were loaded up with Roundup? If you didn't know what glyphosate is, it's Roundup. It's a common weed killer, the most world known weed killer, and it's really infected. That's the right word. Infected in all of our food.
Mm-hmm.
The entire food supply is loaded with this shit. So how did you find you were loaded up with it?
So I actually went to a practitioner down in Indianapolis looking for a person to go to myself, because if my clients know me, I don't like to go to anybody or reference anybody to go to if I haven't gone or done it myself. So
Sure.
I was looking for a practitioner to help my son that had colitis, and he had it for 3.5 years, and I was looking for an answer. So I went there myself and decided that in the moment during my appointment that I was like, wow, I actually want to do what you're doing right now. Like, who did you get your training from, and where did you go, and what's the next steps I need to do? And so I've done all the things. I've done all the classes, and yeah, I've just fallen in love with the whole thing. I mean, and then the nutritional grade of professional grade of products that we are referencing from and pulling from is not like what I've experienced in the past in years. So
Yeah.
so I'm noticing a huge change. I noticed a huge change in my own health, energetic wise. Like I said, she was muscle testing me, and she tested that I had glyphosate, and it was all over my body. And kind of embarrassing to say that, I specialize in chronic inflammation and chronic fatigue, and injury recovery.
In your massage work?
And yet, there's that deeper layer even for myself to like uncover, thinking I'm good, but then realizing that, wow, there's a better layer of good, there's a better layer of health. And then when you find that answer, everything just switches on, and there's no going back. There's no going back to it.
Well, isn't it interesting? I think if you ask every holistic practitioner, how did they get started in this life? We all kind of have our own backstory. I call it stealing from the comic book world. It's our origin story. But it sounds like your origin story started with your family, with your son.
Yes. So like I said, he had colitis. He doesn't have colitis now, but like we're finding those root causes of where and why, and also he had parasites as well in the colon, and finding the solution, finding the cause, and then knowing how to eat accordingly as well is a huge part of it. It's not just taking products. It's not just knowing the cause, but knowing how to put it all together.
Right. My origin story has similar threads that run through it. I've talked about it on my show before. I'm sure you've heard me speak about it. And it's funny as I hear you talk about your son, it reminds me of my stepson. Years ago, had severe ulcerative colitis, um, and the type of uh, disarray that his whole digestive tract was in because of that. He was hospitalized for it. It had gotten so bad.
Mm.
Um, and I won't go into the gore of it, but he was bleeding, and we had to have an ambulance, come and pick him up. Um, and he wasn't working with us up to that point so much in natural or holistic care, but it got his attention after that. And I remember when he was presented with what the medical solution wanted to do with him, he then took that information and asked if I would sit down and talk to him about what I could do to help him. And he chose, and this is what I try to teach all of my clients, is take responsibility back for your own health care. He chose a blending of the two.
Oh.
And that helped him for a while, to get through the worst of it. And then he let the prescription type side of things go and stayed in the holistic world.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was kind of scary. Some of that stuff is scary that people come. Do you find, well, one, I wanted to touch on, excuse me, I wanted to touch on the fact, you recently, I mean, like within the last few months have been retooling your practice to accommodate more of the functional nutrition work than and you're quickly getting to the point where the functional nutrition work is kind of overtaking your massage practice.
It is.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're getting to that deeper root. People are finding that when we muscle test and ask the body specific questions, and we have a certain sequence, a certain order of asking the body what it wants to do and honoring the body that way, we get those results that they're looking for. Yeah, and it's true. And I've not had to reduce the amount of massages that I do. It's just naturally occurring on my books. So like 1 week I did two massages.
Wow.
That was it. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, the community is asking for this.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to see. There's some weeks I do maybe 11, but before I was doing 24.
24 massages in a week. I mean, that's exhausting. And I know when I had my wellness center years ago down in Mankato, there were massage therapists that worked out of there, and I would watch them. They were exhausted, like after 4, and dreaded those days that they had more than 4 massages lined up. Some of them did 6 or 7, because they were thinking, "Oh, I'm younger and I can handle this."
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. And so the community, you guys out there are literally asking for that deeper work. And they're finding that when we find, like I said, I probably say this over and over again, but the cause, and that's the important part, is that we can say, oh, this, and when we say cause, it's like to understand that bacteria, fungus, mold, they all have a frequency. Parasites have a frequency. So we're muscle testing and finding that lower frequency. And when that is a certain frequency, we can say what the cause is. We're not diagnosing, we're not prescribing, we're not saying someone has, Lyme or anything, but we're saying that has a frequency to it. And so we can say, hey, based off that, this is how I would recommend eating, or this is the supplement product that checks really good for you because that raises the frequency up.
Right. Yeah, and so what we're picking up in the muscle testing is really a frequency of the Lyme or the parasite or the virus or bacteria. The things we have a whole list of things that we can test through. The stressor, we call them stressors, right? What's stress on the body. Now, are you seeing, as you are stepping more into this, my practice, I have only practiced muscle testing. Whether it's quantum nutrition testing, I started out with nutrition response testing. I've studied all the other, many of the other muscle testing types. And one of the things I love about your story is you got to work with one of the icons, I think, of the muscle testing world.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
So I got to study with Dr. Dick Versendahl for several years. Had his personal number, talked to him on the phone. I love that he would tell me, like, talk to me like a grandpa, ask me any questions that you have.
Yeah.
I just love that. And he was so energetic and fun to work with. And yeah, he taught a technique called contact reflex analysis, CRA. And I believe his daughter still teaches it today. But yeah, it was so cool. That was my start with muscle testing. I mean, muscle testing I did learn in massage therapy at Alexandria School of Scientific Therapeutics. And so I was muscle testing really well before I even graduated. So it wasn't something that we had to learn to become a massage therapist,
Right.
but I ran with it. I wanted to be an expert even then. I wanted to be really good at the art of muscle testing. Even my dad, Dr. Steve Jennings, took me to the grocery store, and we played a game of muscle testing different items in the grocery store.
Oh.
What was, beneficial? Was this food or this food? Comparing foods back and forth, and seeing what was the better choice to make. And so, I've learned from Dr. Dick Versendahl, Dr. Hyatt as well. She taught a whole nother technique of scanning the organs and glands of the body. But what sets us apart is the quantum nutrition testing that I'm doing. It literally was addressing those causes. I had never been introduced to that before.
To the solution.
It's a solution, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that was the missing piece that really turned me on to quantum nutrition testing was that piece right there. And then the professional grade of products that we're pulling from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still blows me away. Every time I get new clients that come in, it blows me away when I'm doing their intake and they'll sit there, and you can tell me if you're seeing this too. The clients will say, I'll ask the question, like, how did you find me, or what brings you in for the functional nutrition work and all that? And a lot of times the answer is very simple. I don't know what else to do.
Right.
Because
so true.
they've been through the whole medical meat grinder. And if you go to medicalmeatgrinder.com,
I love that slogan that you came up with.
medicalmeatgrinder.com, it'll give you some information on what you can do to step off of the merry-go-round of the medical meat grinder. Because a lot of times once people get on that merry-go-round, it is an ass kicker to get off. I even had challenges with my own health journey getting off the medical meat grinder. Well, that's what brought me into holistic care. Was I had, when I was in the Navy, and a lot of people might notice I don't have my usual background. I usually have my wall up there with all my Navy stuff on it. I'm actually in Indiana here with Christine. And anyway, when I was in the Navy, I had a tendency to physically hold my stress in this part of my body. Okay. And I call it in the breadbasket, right in the center point. And I would never, I would just take things on and I would never let them go. And I blew a gasket. Literally. The hiatal hernia was quite large. My stomach, it was a sliding one, so sometimes the stomach would slide up above the diaphragm. Sometimes I would lay down to go to sleep, and whatever was in my stomach would spill up into my sinuses. And it's like all of a sudden you wake up and you have a volcano up inside your head. It was so hot, that acid that comes up out of the stomach. And it was day in and day out of pain, day in and day out of taking, the proton pump inhibitors, the acid blockers. I was eating that stuff like it was candy. And I know today that was a complete opposite of what I should have been doing. Right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I finally had to have surgery to fix that hernia. And it was a horrific process because they have to go in and they take the stomach and the top of the stomach and they wrap it around itself to close up that sphincter. that's in there. I had to learn how to eat again. It was insane. And so, and then my sleep was off, not because of the stomach or because of the stomach, I don't know. But I found my own practitioner up in northern Minnesota, and she tested me, and my stomach points kept, flagging as weak. And she's like, "Are you having any issues with your stomach?" And I didn't even tell her before she was doing the assessment on me. And I kind of giggled because I knew I'd been caught. And I said, "Well, 8 months prior to her doing the assessment on me, I had had the stomach surgery."
Wow, and she's picking that up, huh?
And she was picking that up, and I said, "It's supposed to be fixed now."
And was it?
No, it wasn't. And yeah, thanks. Yeah. She says, they might have closed up that sphincter, but they didn't address. And this is what happens a lot. They don't address the common reasons. They don't investigate what caused that system to fail inside my body in the first place. And through that whole process, no one ever asked me, "What's your lifestyle like? What time do you go to bed? What time do you get up? Are you pooping every day? What are you eating? What kind of exercise are you doing?"
It's so important, isn't it? It all goes together.
Yeah, and that's the holistic vibe. That's the whole mind, body, spirit type of realm. And so it floors people when I first sit down to talk to them, because I want to know their whole health history.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know the whole story. And even though I have them fill out all of the paperwork beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I do when I sit down for their intake visit, whether we're in person or doing telehealth, I'll say, "Okay, I have all your forms and paperwork. I know what you wrote, but I want you to tell me your story."
Mm-hmm.
I love it when people can tell me their story, because I'm going to hear stuff in that story that no amount of paperwork is going to pick up.
Right. Absolutely. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So that got me into it. And after that, it's like, okay, and the program that she put me on turned things around quite rapidly in my health. And then I just woke up one morning. It's like, I have to learn how to do this, And so when I learned this was back in 2008, 2009 timeframe. I don't remember exactly when I started, but I decided I wanted to learn how to do this. And to do that, I would have to go back to school.
Wow. How old were you roughly?
I was probably 42.
Okay.
Had to go back to school so I could get my master's degree, because I needed that in order to get access to the muscle testing school and the supplement, the vendors that I needed to be able to buy supplements from, so I could use them with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So what's one of your favorite? Oh, before I go into more questions, hey, the comments are open, folks. So if you have I'd like to have you point out, hey, where are you watching from? Throw that in the comments. And then if you have any questions for either of us that you would love to hear us talk about, we can noodle through that and see what's going on. So grab your coffee, make some comments. Otherwise, we'll just keep bantering back and forth on the topic of holistic health. And so people aren't used to that idea, are they? Holistic health, having the whole mind, body, spirit included in that. What are you seeing as you're moving now into more and more into the quantum nutrition testing world, the functional nutrition world? What are you seeing with people that you're starting to take in?
Gosh, all sorts of things. I mean, probably my most exciting stories. I had a lady that reached out to me and said to me privately on the phone, "Christine, I don't know who to turn to. I don't know who to ask for help. I've been dealing with an itchy vagina for quite a long time, and I'm afraid to go to different doctors' offices because I'm afraid that people will know about my problem."
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked her some questions. I said, "Hey, tell me more." She said her lips were feeling like someone's pinching her down there, and felt like it just burnt all the time. And I said, does it get worse at night? And she's like, oh yeah. And so her story was, came in, tested parasites. And so in 4 weeks, she said she was 50% better.
Yeah.
50% better in 4 weeks. And then her next protocol, her body wanted to come back in 8 weeks. And she came into the office and gave me a hug and said, Christine, you're changing my life.
Wow.
They were 90% better. And then her next protocol was 3 weeks. So as we cleared her up. And so it's exciting to see. People feel like they're a number out there.
Yeah.
They feel like they go from this specialist to that doctor to this doctor. I mean, they probably got 8-10 doctors sometimes than the normal average person does, which shocks me.
Yeah.
It really shocks me to know that, wow, you go to that many. And they're not all working together. All the doctors are talking together.
Yeah.
And then some of the side effects they get from taking one medication from one place to another creates a whole other host of problems that they didn't even begin with. And they feel like basically just a number. And I get a lot of times people come back to me and say, wow, after just day one assessment, like I said, we go through muscle testing, we do a full quantum nutrition testing assessment. I listen to their history. And then on day 2, we have a report of findings. I've kind of stepped away and built a program specifically for them and taken time to do that too. And day 2, sometimes people, say, wow, just by day 1 going through the product that I've been taking from Amazon or some online store or from this health food store, just by eliminating that alone, checking things that are toxic or that they have an allergy to, they're finding even great results with that. But yeah, I'm finding that deeper layer as I work with people. It's that deeper layer that they've been looking for. Yeah, it's just, I have story after story too that I could probably share. It's not just one.
Well, it's I think it's awesome. To me, that's like the real payday.
Right.
Is when people come in and say, oh my God, you have shifted my life.
Yeah. And I had a lady this morning, I don't even think I shared this with you. She's lost 6 pounds in the last week just by working with me. And she's going into week 2 with me in coaching. I've had some people, their feet that have hurt and burned for years standing on concrete totally went away. Brain fog totally gone away. One lady, she wasn't pooping very well. She was pooping like, almost 3 weeks.
Wow.
One time.
Once every 3 weeks. Yeah. I have issues if I go miss a day.
Yeah, right. And so it's like we're getting her to poop every day. Told her at the beginning I'd be able to help her eat meat again.
Yeah.
And she's been eating steak lately. And people find that turnaround because we're working with all the pieces. Like you said, we're looking at their sleep. We're looking how much they poop, what they're putting in their body.
You can't talk to a holistic practitioner without
about poop.
Bringing up the conversation of poop. And I think some people they accept the fact that they're not pooping every day.
It's not normal.
It's not normal, folks. And so part of the programs that we typically put together for people will have an impact on their, because pooping is one of the main drainage channels. And so we're always looking for ways to make sure the drainage channels are open. We don't want to start them on detox if they're not pooping.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And other things I'm noticing is like people's blood pressure is high. Sometimes it's because of the liver, and maybe it's parasites or something else that comes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really crazy how the body, everybody's different too. They're like a puzzle. And so what one person comes in, maybe gut issues, which I've experienced quite a bit, it's not even going to be the same products. It's not going to be the same problem. It's not going to be the same cause, meaning, let's say the large intestine goes weak. It's a low frequency and it needs support. Not every time is it going to be the same products either. Do you find that too?
Yeah. The example I give a lot of times is, I could have 2 people come in with the exact same symptoms.
Right.
And, and maybe even flag on the same energy points on the body through the muscle testing assessment, the QNT, but their program will test completely different. And that's what I love about the work, because it's so individualized whatever I never especially when I'm working on people's food journals and stuff. I always go, I'm not going to look at you and go, you know what, I think you're the Mediterranean diet
Right.
or the South Beach diet or whatever the fuck the diet is. There's so many diets out there, they don't work. If diets worked, the world would be full of healthy, skinny people. Okay, diets don't work, and so the importance of working with a health coach like us is doing the food journaling. Because I like to study the food. What's the craziest thing that you've maybe seen on food journals?
Oh my goodness. Someone starts their day with like a thing of coffee and Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios.
Wait, that's bad.
Yes, or they
Just
start their
kidding.
day with donuts.
Donuts, yeah.
And then a Red Bull on top of it because they're fatiguing mid-morning, and then have another one in the afternoon, and maybe they've had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch and then
Yeah.
a Jack's Pizza for dinner. Like
Yeah.
it blows my mind. You couldn't pay me enough money to eat
Mhm.
that way. And it just, yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
I can think back years ago. I was working with a banker, and he came in, and the whole suit and tie kind of thing. But his tie was really tied up on his neck, and his face was red, flush up through his face, and he was sweating. Okay, before I had even done the intake on him, so I do the intake. I create a program for him, and he signs on to work with me. And I have people work on their food journals, and so he brings it back in a week, and he hands it to me, and he's kind of laughing.
Why is he laughing?
Well, he goes, "You're going to ask me to stop drinking Diet Mountain Dew."
Oh,
Okay. And I said, "No." And I hadn't even looked at his food journal yet. I said, "No, let me just look at your food journal and see what it says." And I'm looking at this food journal, and in my head, I'm going, "Oh my God."
what was on there?
He was averaging 13 Diet Mountain Dews a day.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, "You're going to ask me to quit." I said, "No, if I asked you to quit cold turkey on that, it would kill you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it literally could kill him. The toxins that are in diet sodas, especially Diet Mountain Dews. And I said, "How about next week?" I said, "Instead of going cold turkey," I said, "Do not go cold turkey on me." The next week, I said, "How about going 11 Diet Mountain Dew?" He goes,
Right?
I don't think I could do that."
Wow.
It was so overwhelming for him to think. I said, "How about 12 a day instead of 13?" He goes, "I can do that."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go slow.
Even two was too much for him. Okay. And in that particular instance, it doesn't take a health coach or a functional nutrition person to know that 13 Diet Mountain Dews is too much.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But do you see this, and you've probably seen it over the years, even with your massage work, do you find people are ignoring the fact that their health is in disrepair and just have accepted where they're at and they just don't do anything about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that for you and I, we think, oh, well, gosh, we eat a certain way, certain similar foods. And we understand right away as we have our own bodies cleaned up. It's like we can fudge a little bit, once we like, oh, wow, that probably wasn't the best choice, but our bodies bounce back. But I think people are so used to feeling like crap,
Right.
and it makes a difference what you're putting in your body. And once I've learned to educate them properly how to eat, it's like retraining somebody to eat all over again. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not the right way. I've got a mom and a son that come into me in the kiddos in his young teenage years, and they homeschool, and it's just like, kid has bad breath, and so it's like, what was his diet looking like, and I actually told them, I said, your diet's worse than a regular school lunch, like that's bad.
Wow.
It's really bad. But the kiddo was eating or drinking 14 pops in a week, and I said, well, how much do you like, just like you say, like, how much do you think you get down? And he goes, I think I can get down to 3 pops a day, or 3 pops in a week. And I said, wow, that's quite a bit. And so he reported back actually doing 1. And actually noticing that, wow, we just don't eat healthy around here. And, we're educating what that looks like for them. But yeah, I don't think most people realize that that goes together. And I think a lot of times people think that there's special pills to take. I think as I switch from what I call the come and go model, which is where I started back in July, I was muscle testing people and say, hey, I want to see you back, in 4 weeks. That's what your body's asking for. And they would come back in 4 weeks. Well, sometimes they just wouldn't even show up too. And then I've had a few people come back to me or text me or call me and say, I've been doing this for a couple months now. In the last couple months, I've not been feeling good. And they want to blame the nutrition products. They want to say that I didn't do something right, which in all truth, I know this person drinks on the weekends, or drinks with their friends. And we haven't even touched the food at all, because that's the old model I'm coming away from. And I'm putting it together with 12 weeks of coaching and looking at the food and running blood panels and going, all right, cool, where are we at? And let's work together every week. And that accountability of working with them every week, it's making the change. They're gonna they have to report back to me what they're eating, what they're doing, and then we make tweaks. A muscle testing from week to week, okay, how's your organs doing? We want them to be a 10. Are they moving from week to week? Are we making that change? So I'm always taking that responsibility of checking in with them on my end to see how that's all running together. But yeah, I don't think most people think that they want to blame either the program or there's a magic pill that I should take and that's not working. They don't want to take responsibility of what they're putting in the tank. And so I always say that, are you putting unleaded in the tank when it's an unleaded tank, or are you putting diesel in, right? The wrong kind of fuel, and then hoping to have better results from it. And it has to work all together.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I know that was part of my awareness when I got on my own health journey, is after about 3 weeks in on the program my very first program, I felt like a switch was tripped, because all of a sudden, and I was awake for this moment, all of a sudden my body went blink and the world suddenly became clear. It's like someone opened up the windows in my brain and let the light in and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't know how bad things were for me until I had that moment where blink, everything just kind of shifted. Now that shift doesn't happen for everybody. Sometimes it can be more gradual, and they can go through a whole phase 1 program with me, and then sometimes they may hesitate. They don't want to start phase 2. I usually give them a week, and they'll call back and go, okay, I actually felt better when I was doing the program. Let's go with phase 2,
right.
And that kind of stuff. And so it's fun. But there's the important part of that. We're all trained. We've all been raised and propagandized by the medical system to just accept the pill. Well, shit, there's a cartoon movie out there about that. Was it WALL-E or something? Do you remember seeing that?
Perhaps.
Where all the Earth people are up in spaceships now.
Okay.
And there's just a robot left, WALL-E, on the planet.
Okay.
And on the spaceship, everything is catered and brought to the people, and they're all extremely fat people, because they're not walking around, they're not doing exercise, and they're taking pills and all this kind of stuff. And I've had people come through thinking that I would just be able to give them a natural health type supplement that would do the same thing as their medication.
And they think how fast do they think that should change too?
Right. And I had one lady, she scheduled a full assessment, came in, sat down, and she goes, now before I go back in your room, I want to tell you, here's my prescriptions. I just want you to tell me what is equivalent in food supplements. And I said, none, nothing. Okay. Because the programs that we're interested in doing with people are ones that will actually hopefully get them healthy enough to the point where I call it my hidden agenda. I want to get people healthy enough so they don't have to take their medications anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they'll tell me, it always comes up because when their body starts to work better, their meds start to work better, and they'll say, "Hey, Doc Jeff, can I stop taking this medication?" Well, I'm not a medical doctor, so I say, no, I can't tell you what to do with or without your medications, but I will encourage you to go have that conversation with your medical doctor
Absolutely.
to say, "Hey, I'm doing a natural health improvement program. My health is actually getting better. Can you help me get off of these medications?"
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And to me, it's a red flag if the medical doctor says, "Absolutely not. The supplements are interfering with the medication." No. Then you need to find a new doctor, one who is a little more open-minded to the idea that holistic options can actually work.
Mhm.
Now, there was another thought I was going to go on there.
Can I run with them
Yeah,
something real quick?
run
Okay,
it.
so I have a lady that's just hired me. She came to me with UTIs, and that was her main concern.
Mhm.
And gosh, I think it's been almost 2 weeks now. No antibiotics. Like I told her from day one, I said, don't even hire me as a coach if you're going to take antibiotics because you're just going to be throwing your money down the drain.
Yeah.
But if you're serious and you want to take your health back and you want to get to the root cause and live away from that, then hire me and we'll get to the root cause of issues. And so she has, and we're noticing, and she hadn't turned her food journal in. So 3 days into the program, she reaches out to me and says, wow, I feel like I might be getting a UTI, and I muscle test over the phone and I say, hey, I need to see your food list before anything else. Right. And so I'm looking at it and it's like just trash.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and everything's just turned into sugar,
Yeah.
and we're working with parasites. And so, it's a big deal and it's exciting to see that she never went on it. She's going into 2 weeks now for the first time of never being on any antibiotics.
Whoa.
That's huge.
That's awesome.
Huge.
Yeah,
as we clean
awesome.
up the system. Yeah.
Now we've talked about parasites, and you brought it up a couple times in the show, Christine. Parasites. We're a first world country. We don't have parasites here.
Oh, okay. So there's a magic line somewhere.
There's a magic embarkation line around the country. It runs on top of the border wall. It goes all around the whole country, and it keeps out the parasites. And don't talk to the farmers about parasites because they're out deworming their livestock. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Those are other types of mammals.
Yeah.
But we're
different.
Humans are different. What have you seen with that?
Oh my goodness, people's behaviors are different. People, they always say, what's the old saying? Oh my gosh, is it a full moon? Did all the crazy people come out? Even nurses and practitioners will recognize that, wow, there's a change during full moon, but a lot of people out there don't talk about how that's parasitic related.
Yeah.
So there's anything from brain fog, inflammation, weight gain,
right.
Chronic fatigue. Yeah. What else do you notice from that?
Yeah. Well, and I've taken parasite protocols, and I've had people tell me that they will never. In fact, one of my sisters argued with me that when I told her I had tested for parasites, and she goes, "You don't have parasites," and she's in the medical field, so I'm like, "Yeah, but I tested for them, and I'm going to start the protocol," and I did, and I reached that point where, okay, it's going to get gross. I started shitting them out, into the toilet. And the very first time I did that, I stood up to clean up, and you turn around and you look down. I'm like, what the hell is that? Okay.
So true.
So when that happens, you want to just reach in and pull that up and hold it out, hold it up and say, hey, people that we don't have parasites, look at this. Okay. I've got pictures. My clients get to see pictures, and I always joke. I know I've arrived as a practitioner when my clients are emailing me pictures of their poop.
Oh, isn't that so exciting?
Because I've seen things come out of people in these pictures that would, it's like, holy, holy shit.
Yep. Holy
Um,
shit, for sure.
yeah, it's pretty. So if people, if we're a first world country, folks, and we still get parasites, I would say probably 75% or more of my active clients right now are doing
Mhm.
parasite work.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other stressors then that come in next would be toxic chemicals.
Mhm.
Do a lot of that. Do a lot of glyphosate clearing, as you
Mhm.
said. There's a new toxin out there. It's number 2 on the list under glyphosate. It's atrazine, I believe,
Mhm.
another agricultural product. Um, and and I used to laugh years ago when I lived down in Mankato, which is a ag community. I would talk to people and express my concerns about glyphosate in the groundwater and the runoff into the lakes and streams, and they're like, "That doesn't happen." I'm like, "Really?" And it does.
It is.
And then the let's see, parasites, the toxic chemicals. I've done heavy metal work, have mercury toxicity, just tons of heavy metals.
Mhm.
Um, oh, along with the parasites, Lyme.
Yes. Mhm.
And we've all been taught that, oh, you can never get rid of Lyme once you have it. Well, I disagree with that. We've got some pretty solid protocols that we can put into place to help a person deal with Lyme, because not the where the medical community falls down is they have that magic bullet, they believe, when someone shows up with Lyme or a tick bite, and it's a strong round of antibiotics,
Mhm.
right? But they don't go after the co-infections that are often there with Lyme, whether it's
Mhm.
Borrelia, Babesia, Ehrlichia,
Mhm.
um, Babesia, Borrelia. I'm missing one.
But I do get people that
Yeah.
say, I'll test them and say they've got you're testing for a frequency of Lyme.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not diagnosing, I'm not saying you have Lyme. There's a huge difference there.
Yeah.
Huge difference. But you're testing the frequency of Lyme. And so people will say, well, I've never been bit by a tick.
Right.
And I'll be like, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Have you been bit by a spider?
Hmm.
Mosquitoes, those little black bugs called nuceums, like
Yeah,
all bite.
Yeah. Any biting insect nowadays can carry Lyme or the co-infections of Lyme.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I live in Minnesota, which is mosquito population of the world. Usually, you can't go outside sometimes in the summer without getting attacked by mosquitoes, and it's like, how does that not cross populate,
Mhm.
between the bugs? And then, if you know the Lyme backstory, that it was also leaked from a lab.
In Plum Island.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And that information I heard starting to pop out um, in the mainstream news with
Interesting.
people. That was just a couple weeks ago that it was actually released, whether intentionally or by accident. Nobody will admit that, but yeah, it's insane what has been going on in our society about that.
Yeah, so that's the cool part about muscle testing, I think, is because we can muscle test those
Hmm.
frequencies before they ever show up on a lab work,
Right.
right? Before they ever would become so much of a problem that they're going to hit those numbers that when they're running their lab numbers and they're within a what else call it, a time or not a table period of like, here's what's healthy range, right? When people are going in with those symptoms and they're off the chart, it's like I feel like they've missed the boat. Like it happened years ago,
Hmm.
like, does that make sense? Like
Hmm.
we're finding it much quicker, much
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah, a lot of times we may see something show up prior to the labs. I just started running a specific lab test in my office called the Metabolic Vulnerability Index Plus. And that gives us markers that don't typically get measured from the normal blood labs that the medical system runs.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows us instead longevity markers type of thing with the cellular vitality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it helps us look at the health of the mitochondria, and with that number, with the index number that comes out of that, you can project over the next 5 years whether or not someone is going to be having, a potential catastrophic health issue.
Right. Yeah.
And when you see, what I love about bringing that into the quantum nutrition testing work that we do is now we know what that number is, we can influence that number.
Correct. And how do we influence it?
Through diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleaning, opening up the detox channels and drainage channels in the body, helping the body heal, getting some lifestyle things back into alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's sleep, getting some exercise. Oh, one of my new clients, we had our first check-in this week. And she reported on her update visit that she is now walking a half mile 3 times a day.
Ooh, how far did she walk before?
She didn't do any exercise. She had no energy to do anything. And I'm like, wait, don't, just because you have energy coming back, don't jump right into that right away. And she goes, Jeff, it's only half a mile. She goes, but I'm feeling like if I sit still anymore, it's going to hold her back or be negative on her program. We're working parasites also
Mm-hmm.
on her. And she was another one that came in because she didn't know what to do with the medical meat grinder.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't get off that merry-go-round, and so I think she wrote a comment. I'll try to put it up as a testimonial here in the next week. But yeah, it's every day. It's always nuggets like that. Just every subtle win that the clients have, to me, is like, yes,
Yeah.
we hit the mark with what they're working on.
Yeah, and I had a lady too that she had alopecia, where she had hair loss, and so it was parasite related. Her hair's growing back in,
Mhm.
and it's so exciting to see that she'll post me pictures of all these parasites. In one day, she posted 17 pictures to me. She texted them to me.
Yeah,
It wasn't that she lost them all in one day, but within a week's time, she was
capturing
just
all this
releasing
evidence.
all of that
Yeah.
and going, "Wow, like it's
Mhm.
coming out." You, Christine, muscle test and said it's parasites, and here they are,
Yeah.
and it's cool for them to have that light bulb moment and the evidence for themselves of going, whoa, okay, I feel better. I'm seeing them coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. The work that I do, do you find you're connecting tighter with a passion? Do you find a renewed passion as you move into this new chapter of your practice?
I do. Because when people come in for a massage now, I'm not looking at the body the same way. I'm looking at it going, I wonder what the cause is, right? And, I'll have that conversation with them because they are coming in wanting a result, right? They're
Right.
wanting to feel better. And so not sharing that information is not beneficial. So I have to share.
Mhm.
I have to share what other services are available to them. And usually, most of the time, they're switching over.
Mhm.
They're switching over going, cool, I'd like to give that a try. I
Yeah.
know nothing about it. And sometimes I'll do a show and tell. I had a young mom this week and a young daughter come in, and the daughter came in for massage. And afterwards, I said, hey, do you mind if I show you,
Mhm.
what's just a quick weakness in the body? Again, it was glyphosate, kids at gymnastics.
Yeah.
In gymnastics. And so chemicals also popped up. And they're not coming in for nutrition necessarily. I'm just kind of doing a show and tell of like, hey, look, hold your arm up, try to keep it strong.
Mhm.
And yeah, chemicals were popping up. And so I said to them, I said, you might want to find out what your gym is cleaning the mats with, that affects young girls as they're tumbling and doing gymnastic work. So
Yeah.
those things are really cool to see how that all connects, and everybody wants their kiddo to feel better, right?
Right.
So
Right. Are you, as you're creating your programs, are you taking telehealth clients yet? Are you doing
I am.
telehealth?
I'm
You are.
doing telehealth.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good. So we're at the point of the show. Let's see if there's any questions out here. Hey, Darla, I appreciate you piping in. Janae, some of the regular listeners of the show, really appreciate that. Let us know, anybody watching, let us know if you have any questions. I see there's a few people out there. Let us know where you're watching from. But people know how to get a hold of me. How can they get a hold of you to get on your schedule for nutrition assessments?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, rinslermassage.com, or you can give me a call at 219-863-1074. If they want to do a discovery call and just ask some questions of, maybe to see if this is a right fit for you. And so I am changing platforms here pretty soon to a new service. And so that service will be logging in all their.
Oh, so you can better help your
Yeah,
clients.
to better help my clients as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Would you type in the comments your website?
Sure.
I'm not going to try to spell it.
Rensselaer.
Yeah.
So go back. How about you type it and
Okay.
I'll tell you. So RENSSELAER massage.com.
Okay. So there's Christine's website. That's going out to all the channels, rinslermassage.com. And then your phone number,
219
Christine, phone 219
863
863
1074.
1074. And
so feel free to
here
give
we
me
can show-
give me a call. You can text that number. Maybe you're just interested, and you're more, you're curious of what this looks like.
Yeah.
We can do a 15-minute discovery call. I can answer your questions.
Yeah. And I put the website up on the screen for Christine. And if you're interested in talking to me, let me put up, I have a banner that can run along the bottom of the screen. And and you can get either one of us. So, Christine, what did you think about being my first ever guest on the Morning Coffee?
I'm honored, Dr. Jeff, to be on your show today.
I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much. I don't see any questions coming in. Oh, there's a comment. Let's see. Nope, there's no comment. I lied. Okay. So at the end of the show, I've got a special running. You can the code is in the banner. There's Christine's website there above the running banner right there. And Christine is located in Indiana. Or if you'd prefer to work with a woman, then feel free to reach out to her too. And Christine works with both men and women and children, as do I. Some days I think I would love to focus on men's health, but I realize that probably 95% or more of the men that I do work with, I come to me through their women. Mm-hmm. Because men tend to be stubborn about their health.
Yes, they do.
And so their wives or spouses or partners encourage them, go get checked out. Right. So I love that. But is there anything else you'd like to impart before we close with a prayer?
Oh, I think we've covered quite a bit. So, no. Oh. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
No. All right. Well, let's, as typical show fashion, we'll close with a prayer. Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing Christine and I to come together and share information. Hopefully, I pray that we discussed something, we said something that will encourage someone to take another look at their health challenges or their health journey, or maybe take the first steps in taking control back or responsibility back for their health. Guide us with the wisdom of that, whether we're clients looking for practitioners or as practitioners, please guide us with the wisdom we need to best help our own clients as they come through. Through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
And you're welcome, Darla. Thank you. And that's it. That's
Thank
a
you.
break. We'll see you guys next week.
See you. Have a great Saturday.
If you like the interview format with Christine, please throw that in the comments, and I'll try to get more guests. If you want me to continue doing that, I'll try to get more guests. Or maybe if you want to see Christine come back, we can do that too. Let us know in the comments. Dr. Jeff signing off. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.